Hey folks, good morning and welcome to today's episode of MC Commute starring Aprilia's 2026 RS 660 Factory. All right everyone, there it is, Aprilia's 2026 RS 660 Factory. This is a new and improved middleweight size sport bike from Aprilia out of Italy. Look at that bodywork. It's got all new front fairing and side fairings. Has a much more aesthetically pleasing look versus the original 2021 RS 660. Is powered by a 659cc parallel twin that Aprilia says is the front half of its legendary RSV4 65-degree V-twin engine. All right, enough talking about this bike. Let's swing a leg over and see what it's like to ride. Right away, sitting on this motorcycle, well, it's a sport bike. That means that the clip-ons are a little bit low and the seat is high. But to be fair, this RS 660 Factory actually has a really accommodating seat level that is in spite of a traditional sport bike and is actually really low. And the clip-ons are actually pretty high. So for a sport bike, this is actually a really accommodating sport bike and very easy to ride on the street, which we like. This windscreen has a nice bubble which you can sit behind. I wish it was a little bit taller, but realistically it's not bad. It has a nice bubble shape and you can tuck in underneath it if you're a small rider. If you're 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, you're gonna fit a little bit snugly on this vehicle, but overall it's not that bad, obviously, because the clip-ons are rather high and the seats are really low. The foot pegs are a tad high on this bike, which is good because you're gonna have really good cornering clearance when you're going around turns, but it's not so high where it's unaccommodating to ride on the street. I think if the seat was a little taller, us tall folks would have a little bit more room in the knees. Still a very nice ergonomics package, and we like this wide body, this redesigned wide body front fairing. All the sport bikes, super bikes these days, all the good ones are all wide body. They've been doing that since 2019, 18. They started going wider and wider, and it's cool the RS 660 Factory adopts that wide body super bike aero package. Even though it really doesn't need it, it's only got a 659cc parallel twin, which we'll get to in a second, but still cool that Aprilia is pushing the envelope on and off track. This thing's powered by a 659cc parallel twin engine. Water-cooled dual-rated camshafts with an 8-valve cylinder head. This engine's good for right around 90 horsepower at the business end of that rear tire, upwards of 40 pound-feet of torque. This vehicle has larger throttle bodies and some other changes that give this engine's got some stomp. For a 660cc parallel twin, I just love the character of this engine. This engine literally feels like an RS V4. Of course, it doesn't have the traditional V4 shake, rattle, and roll, but you feel and hear that RS V4 character in this engine, which should come as no surprise because Aprilia said they literally engineered this powertrain to be the front half bank of the 65-degree V4 engine. Very nice. We love the sounding character of this engine. It only gets meaner for 2026. Really pleasing character. Ride-by-wire throttle response. If there's one thing Aprilia knows how to do, it's ride-by-wire throttle programming, especially for track use. They've been the leaders in that segment for decades, and the throttle response continues on this bike. A little bit of engine vibration, you feel it through mainly the fuel tank, believe it or not. Mainly the 4-gallon fuel tank, you can feel the vibration through. A little bit through the controls, but honestly it's not overwhelming. It's the right kind of vibration, makes you feel like you're riding a fun, sporty motorcycle, which we like. Cable actuated clutch on this vehicle, nice light pull. The pull is very light, but yet it still has a nice weighted response. The clutch doesn't feel wimpy. There's also slipper clutch function, so if you downshift in too low of gear for vehicle speed traveled, you don't have to worry about anything crazy happening. Let's get to the front of the line where we belong, folks. And away we go. We've got a 6-speed electronic quick shifter enabled transmission that allows us to row up and down through the gearbox. Yes, finally some turns. We love turns in this 400-pound RS 660 Factory. That's right, this thing only weighs just over 400 pounds. It's a very light sport bike. You feel how light it is just lifting it off of its side stand. And it handles very nice predictable handling. This motorcycle is suspended with Öhlins suspension. We have an Öhlins fork with independent spring preload, and separate function, compression and rebound damping. Rebound is in the right, compression is in the left. Öhlins does that to reduce weight from this front suspension system. It's also less manufacturing cost. We prefer independent suspension front forks setups where you have two cartridges, one for rebound damping, one for compression damping. But this fork has a more budget-oriented setup. The spring rate on this motorcycle is rather light. If you're a heavier rider, you're certainly going to tax the OE spring rate. But all in all, not bad. All right, everyone, so far so good on Aprilia's 2026 RS 660 factory. Look at this thing. I really like the aesthetics of this motorcycle. It's a really pleasing upgrade from the previous 2021 to 2025 RS 660. It's certainly a looker. It looks even better than the RS V4 in our opinion. Really comfortable for a sport bike and loaded with all the bells and whistles, and we love that signature RS V4 character from the front half bank of this 659cc parallel twin. Well, everyone, enough talking about this bike. Let's get back on the road because we're having so much fun. All right, folks, where were we? Oh, yeah, the spring rate. The spring rate on this vehicle is a little bit more lightly sprung, so if you're a 190-pound rider, you're definitely going to be in the upper edge of the spring envelope on this vehicle. Probably going to need it to be resprung. This motorcycle, while it feels light and agile, the suspension, it really beats you up on the straight here. You really feel every bump, and it is very just rough riding. So a very rough riding motorcycle on the straight. If you're looking for a motorcycle that has really compliant suspension and gives a real nice plush ride over the bumps, you're not going to find it with this RS 660 factory. However, on a smooth road that's devoid of any bumps, the suspension glides over the pavement and has really good road holding. We like the way the suspension operates on smooth pavement. We just aren't big fans of it on the rough stuff. Out back, we have a non-linkage equipped shock, so the shock mounts directly between the frame and swing arm using the engine as a stress member. And there is spring preloading, compression and rebound damping adjustment. We do like that the compression and rebound damping adjustment knobs are knobs. You don't need a screwdriver like you do with the fork. It's a really, really nice touch. I think it's cool this motorcycle comes with Öhlins. I wouldn't say it works significantly better than the base model. In theory, at least, just judging over how Aprilia engineers and Ducati engineers its base model versus its up-spec Öhlins equipped model. But the Öhlins gold stuff certainly looks cool. Now this motorcycle is equipped with all the bells and whistles. We have adjustable combined engine power and throttle mode maps, traction control, wheelie control, launch control. It's all controlled via this switchgear block here that is backlit. Right now we've been getting 39 miles per gallon on this vehicle. Not bad. Not bad. 39 miles per gallon with a 4-gallon capacity fuel tank. Nice fuel gauge right there. There's a button right here that allows you to switch between global riding modes, commute, individual, and dynamic. You can also tune the traction control while you're riding. If you're right in the right screen, you can tune traction control and wheelie control while you're riding. Very, very cool. The switch gear is okay. The menu navigation with Aprilia always changes, so it's a little bit, takes you a little bit of time to understand the function of the menu and how to get in and out of things and how to set the settings. But once you do, the user interface has made great strides from previous RS V4 and RS 660s. Good job, Aprilia. So all in all, a nice electronic system, and we like the backlit switch gear so you can see where the button is when you're riding at night. Very, very nice. Really like that Aprilia infused its racing DNA into this bike. This bike feels very sporty. Although it's comfortable for a road-going sport bike, it's got that cool signature RS V4 growl and character. And while the suspension rides a little rough, that roughness could also conveys a little bit of rigidity, so it feels like you're racing, like a real racy, rigid feel. Again, not the most comfortable, but it does offer a lot of character and make riding a sport bike feel like riding a real sport bike. Good job, Aprilia. Keeping speed in check is triple hydraulic disc brakes from Brembo. We also have this nice radial mount master cylinder. Braking package on this motorcycle, very stout. We love it. This motorcycle has a big back brake. Realistically, 400 pounds, it's not that heavy.
so it probably wouldn't need to have as stout braking as it does, but the brakes are pretty dang good on it. To be fair, they do fade a little bit when you're really wailing on this thing. When you're really giving this thing the berries and riding her like it's meant to be, it does have a little bit of brake fade, but given the configuration of the motorcycle, it's totally acceptable. It's nice having IMU powered cornering ABS. If you haven't ever experienced IMU powered cornering ABS, you haven't lived. It allows you to use the brakes with extremely aggressively, and the threshold of ABS intervention is just so high. It's just amazing that a machine can allow you to operate a vehicle that aggressively with the brakes. So very, very nice. If you're someone who really likes to brake heavily at lean, you're gonna love the IMU powered cornering ABS. The Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3 tires in this vehicle, they work good. They're nice tires. They're not the most sporty, grippy sport bike tire out there, but they're certainly capable, and they work in inclement weather as well. So the carcass and profile of Pirelli's is also pretty neutral. The race tires are maybe a little bit softer. These street tires are a little bit more firm, but not quite as firm as other manufacturers, but they do a good job. Really like this color TFT display. Looks good. The fonts aren't the sharpest. There's other motorcycles with TFT displays that have a little bit sharper fonts, but all in all, it works well. I like the white numbers and the black background. That's always my favorite setting, and a setting I always select on other vehicles when I'm operating them. Alright, let's give this thing the berries. Oh yeah, this thing sounds awesome! Whoa! Whoa. Speed got carried away there. Definitely some engine vibration through this 659cc parallel twin, but again, it's the good kind of vibration, makes riding fun. So, of course, MC Commute is a street bike riding series, but because these bikes are so high performance, we wanted to show you what they are like to ride on the racing track. Because a good amount of you folks will ride these bikes out on track, because these bikes are just so fun and capable. So this, folks, is a wrap of Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. This track is so cool because it is very high speed, as you can see right now. We're going well over 120 miles per hour. And you actually get to shift into almost top gear as we go down into the 6-speed gearbox into first gear. Of course, we're riding on the OE Pirelli Diablo street tires, so we can't really haul butt, but we can do enough to feel this bike. This bike is really easy to ride, really charismatic, really fun. If you're someone who wants to get out on track on a bike that's not crazy intimidating, very easy to ride, this RS 660 fits the bill.
Well, everyone, that was really fun riding Aprilia's 2026 RS 660 factory. This motorcycle is really awesome. Again, really love the styling of this motorcycle. Big upgrade from the original 2020 RS 660. Styling is awesome. Character, wow. Aprilia did a really good job infusing its superbike fun-loving character in this motorcycle. It's a comfortable sport bike that feels very racy, which we like. Well, everyone, that wraps up our official 2026 MC Commute RS 660 factory. This motorcycle retails for $14,000, carries a 2-year warranty, it's built in Italy. We'll see you in the next episode.